Okay, Friday, 31st of July, 2026, so Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Survival, a unifying theory, or unifying concept we can say at a deeper level. Now, there's a certain someone I know that every now and then talked about how reaching a certain age was testament to his ability to survive, or to get age of 35 or age 40, it's a good achievement. And at first, I was a bit dismissive mentally to say, well, that happens all the time. It's nothing unusual or common, or nothing unusual or rare or extraordinary to reach age 35 or 40, things like that. But then I thought deeper with regards to the metaphysics behind that meaning to say, well, actually, there's damn importance behind the ability to survive, not just in a sense of evolution and adaptability, but in a sense of to have weathered the storm, to have weathered different kinds of storms, mental, physical, financial, spiritual, emotional, you name it, is indicative of, yes, your adaptability, but also your resourcefulness, your character, your confidence, your ability, your competence, and beyond, and other positive personality traits, to the point where that is damn important. The ability to survive, i.e., your character is thus that in spite of the storms, metaphorically speaking, and actually physically speaking as well, the storms of life, the ups and downs of life, you're able to survive and thrive in spite of these disasters, and in fact be stronger, wiser, faster, smarter, better because of them as a life experience kind of challenge, let's say, put it loosely. That's powerful. Yes, perhaps at a meta deeper level it's your adaptability, yes, but it's at the same time the rate at which your character grows, and the rate at which you learn and adapt, and you take lessons from what happens in life, so as when these things happen again, or or derivatives of them, you're able to survive and ideally thrive as well. I'm thinking primarily in the context of what happened or what has happened in the Bitcoin space over the past 10 years in terms of business and money, where the asset itself has continued to survive and thrive in spite of ups and downs and whatever else, turbulence, but this price action was a second order consequence of this breaking down over there, or this speculation over there, or that fear and whatever else over there, or this crash and this scandal over there, all these other things happening where people would have suffered because of this thing over here, or people would have had a blind spot, so therefore they fell for this trick over here, or they fell for that over there, or they were too greedy and this happened and this catastrophe befell them over there, and they continue to survive. Because we can say at a deeper level, people will say you want to learn from the mistakes of others, correct, valid, but an even smarter attitude to have and mantra to have is to have the level of introspection and forward thinking where you can see other people's trajectory and saying at that rate this will happen over there in 6-12 months, at that rate this will happen in the future, so you avoid that mistake put loosely, that endeavor, that disaster, again metaphorical storm altogether. You avoid it completely. And it's that ability there not only to have introspection in yourself, what mistakes will I make at this trajectory, but also mistakes over here, disasters over there, catastrophes over there, problems over here, that you're able to avoid and thus survive. And that's just in the context of finance and a metaphorical storm, the greed and fear of the market, disasters, bulls and bear markets, booms and busts. It's at a deeper level, it's that mantra that people say success leaves clues. And that idea can be applied to every aspect of life, health, wealth, love and happiness, you name it, obscure things, down to fashion and diet and beyond, to say, well, to survive to the age of 100, 120, I need to really refine and know what I'm doing with regards to, well, you name it, health, wealth, love, happiness, character, ideas, standards, diet, you name it, fashion, appearance, whatever else. Because we could be really cynical and say, you have no idea, well, where or what it is or when this particular thing, if we're going to do root cause analysis, this particular thing could cause a downfall. It could be as simple as being in the wrong place at the right time, or the wrong time even, or having the wrong diet for a critical mass of time that causes problems 30 years from now. Or it could be something elaborate, like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, therefore you don't meet that particular person that changes your life for the better. Things like that. And it's like a minesweeper, really. We don't know where it could be, so we have to be as wise as possible, know and study many things as possible, analyse, study, root cause analysis, opportunity cost benefit, opportunity cost analysis, opportunity cost of capital, things like that, to really think and strategise. And every single decision we have to think about it many times over before we make a decision. For example, in Forex years ago, one thing I was taught was that we are disciplined traders. It's quality, not quantity of trades. We could apply that and reconcile it to life to say we make quality decisions, not quantity decisions. If we're going to make a decision, where to go, when, and all the rest, we're thinking well in advance and we're planning very thoroughly before making any action. It's reversibility built in, but also at the same time, it's reversibility is not needed, because what we do is thought out extremely intensely. It's what Warren Buffett talks about, where you have a scorecard of 20 actions you can make in your entire life, but before even making one of them, you're thinking about it intensively to say, is this the best allocation of my time, energy, resources, effort, hassle, whatever else, that will push me forward in life, advancing in life, but at the same time not leave me exposed to any downside risks that could lead to my ultimate downfall, again through the lens of root cause analysis, meaning this particular location could have been a disaster in that aspect. So, for example, I was in Acapulco, February 2020. Very nice. And had I been there in September, October, November 2023, there was a storm, and I would have faced that, again, a literal storm. I would have faced it, and that could have caused problems in general, short-term and long-term, risk to health, whatever else, risk to life, things like that. We're looking at root cause analysis, how that disaster, that storm, that literal storm in this case, could have affected me in the immediate term and the short term, i.e. today, July 2026, 3 or so years later. It's those kind of strategical chess move kind of thinking we need to have in order to survive. Not living in fear to say, I won't do anything, no, I'm not going there, no way, no way, no way. You never are exposed to these risks, which is good, but at the same time, you don't really live an exciting, fulfilling life, because you can say, oh, I work hard, but don't enjoy life. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, is that the kind of life you want to have? Imagine 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now, thinking, well, what kind of life did I have? I didn't really do much. That introduces potential regret. Again, root cause analysis. Do nothing today equals 50 years from now having no memories, no stories, more chance of regret, and all because today you didn't do X, didn't do Y, didn't go to Z, didn't build A, didn't do Z, and blah blah blah, things like that. I did a video a year or 2 or 3 ago about regret minimization framework. That's a kind of offshoot of survival, where we can be as cynical as possible and say, I'll do nothing, maximize survive, but you're running the risk of maximizing and inadvertently regrets. So there's a spectrum to this. But really, at the same time, we need to be savvy, smart, competent in life to survive by different metrics: health, wealth, love, and happiness, and advancing into the future. In a way, you could say, it's like walking on a tightrope, but you have all the odds stacked in your favour, that in spite of you running the risk, let's say travel, running the risk of, say, problems with the flight, you have layers of insurance, backup plans, contingencies, etc., etc., etc. So if X happens, you survive. If Y happens, you survive. If Z happens, you survive. And ideally go deeper to say, in spite of X, we not only survive, but we thrive. In spite of Y, not only survive, but we thrive. But that's a little more is needed with that kind of, to achieve that kind of end result, a little more engineering and thought process, but nonetheless, an interesting standard to work towards. And that's a perfect scenario. And I did a video about this it would have to be February or January 2026. I was in Port Merion talking about using Plato's perfect forms as the premise for engineering and building ideal outcomes and scenarios to say, in spite, like I just said, in spite of this disaster, I not only survive, which is baseline minimum, but I thrive. I'm better because of it. And we can go even deeper to say, if you're introspective enough, you take that example story, event even, and dissect it to think what meta opportunities and lessons and life lessons can I learn from it, can I glean from it to be even smarter in the future, to be even smarter, wiser, better, stronger, faster. Not only to have a better life, but also to avoid making the same mistake again. Oof, that's very important. But also, from a metacognition point of view, like I said earlier, we don't need to have experienced these problems in order to learn from them. As in root cause analysis, strategizing deeply second, third, fourth order consequences of every action and decision so as to avoid making mistakes, maximizing survival, minimizing regret, but at the same time going out into the world and doing stuff. Because we could be very dogmatic and just say, like I mentioned earlier, do nothing in life, no thank you, staying at home, maximize survival, but you're really running the risk of, like I mentioned earlier, regret. And we don't want regret. We want to do amazing things in life. Have, build, create, achieve, see, you name it. Well, why not? In general, because, hey, we could say, YOLO, but at the same time, come on, live a life. Live a life. Do cool, amazing things. Build amazing things. Achieve amazing things. Even in a metacognitive way, these videos, this archive, this library, these daily vlogs are a feat of, not engineering, but a feat of intelligence, sharing ideas, sharing smart things, building an archive for the future. Oh, very powerful. But that's a whole other conversation. But survival is important. Knowing the first principles, what to do, what to have, what to avoid, and beyond into the future. Because we can be pragmatic and say, know what to do and know what not to do in life at the same time. Both are important. And both of them, both ends of the spectrum, we can get information, dragnet, just drag all information as possible from many places, sources, AI and people and events and stories, history, autobiographies, as much as possible, to glean as much information and advice as possible, just to be smarter, wiser, faster, better, stronger. So we can say, I've seen this before, I understand this, I know what that means. You're avoiding more mistakes. Avoiding mistakes before you even, if you're going to be really four-dimensional, you can avoid mistakes before you even know that they even exist. Meaning, like, you've landed somewhere and you know that out there exists a minefield, but you don't know where it is, but you know what signs to look out for that pre-forewarn of an existence of a minefield. There's a sign, minefield, but you know what to look out for before there's even the sign of a minefield. But that takes a lot of thinking, a lot of strategizing, a lot of like second, third, fourth, fifth order consequence thinking. It's quite adventurous, a little difficult, but it's quite speculative in a good way. To think and imagine and plan. And what I've also noticed is that there's no limit to how far down the rabbit hole you can go with regards to thinking of potential disasters well ahead. And it's fractal, because there's no limit towards it as well. I mean, for example, here, one thing I did not anticipate, so to speak, actually no, back in April, was how impactful a storm could be, or heavy rain could be, at 1 a.m, and how that could affect my work, in a sense of, say, audio quality. That I did not quite anticipate, but we worked around it and have contingencies, whatever else, and in spite of that problem, there's contingencies and backup plans, whatever else. Very nice, very handy. That's important for survival. As a baseline. Ideally thrive, but as a baseline, survival. We're nothing less than that. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.